Hello and welcome to the Blitz Business Development Show. My name is Mayo Best and I'm a business consultant and coach as well as the founder of the Blitz Business Development Academy. This is the show that provides guidance, resources, and access to best practices to help you advertise, manage, and build geometric profits. From freelancers and home-based business owners to startups and storefronts, you will learn how to start small as you think and grow big. Hello and welcome to the Blitz Business Development Show. I am your host, Mayo Best. And today, guys, this is one interview I've been really looking forward to because it actually is going to be touching on something that I am really big on. And you guys know how I feel about building relationships and bringing value. Well, today, both you and I are going to be blessed with the ability to talk to a master networker. And I can tell you right now, guys, if you really understand the depth and efficacy of having this type of a skill set, your business will go through a dramatic paradigm shift in little to no time. This is a skill set you're going to definitely want to develop. If you want to get into more doors that are doors that lead to bigger rooms with bigger money, okay, and people who have the ability to be able to get things done on a level that the average person couldn't do, that is all about having something called influence and having a social currency, okay? So to do that, you've got to be good at connecting people. You've got to be good at being able to communicate and convey what you do in business in a way that actually makes people want to work with you. But there is a art form to this. And the gentleman that we are going to meet is going to be helping us with our topic today, which is how to become a master networker. And guys, I can't basically pipe this up any more than I have. So I want you to get ready to meet our next guest and get your pens and papers, because here we go. Todd Davis got his start by working in the hospitality industry with restaurants for over 14 years. He then leveraged those skills from hospitality into becoming a successful real estate agent and broker for another 25 years. This led to the opening of what is now an internationally acclaimed referral network called the Gold Star Clubs. Since 2007, this master networker has been facilitating and mentoring other business owners with the skill set of networking. This has resulted in them creating massive profits for their businesses. Introducing Mr. Todd Davis. All right, folks, I actually have been looking forward to this to this interview for quite some time. We are meeting with a master networker. This is rare. It's very, very rare you get to actually talk to someone who's a master at direct referrals, at direct networking. So much of a master that he has an entire business, a very successful company at doing this. So you guys are in for a rare treat. As always, you want to catch these gems, guys. If you're on the podcast, if you're watching this on YouTube or any of the platforms that we're on, this is going to be powerful. And he's going to be actually talking about some things today where I'm going to be taking notes too, actually. Now, with that said, folks, I'm introducing you now officially to Mr. Todd Davis.
Hello, Mayo. Good to have you. Good to be here on your podcast. I appreciate you having me over.
Absolutely, Todd. So listen, I got a ton of questions for you. We're going to get started like we do with all our guests. We want to get to know you a little bit, get a little bit deep into your business, just a little bit on a personal level. So my first question to you, sir, where are you originally from?
I'm originally from the Metro D.C. area, and I am a transplant to Tulsa, Oklahoma that happened in 2000. I came out here to go to Bible school, which I did, and thought I was going to do great things with that, and realized that I can do great things and stay right here in Tulsa.
That is so crazy. You know what? And I forgot that you actually, we talked before, and that you said you're actually a DC area native, which is cool. What part of DC or DC area did you grow up in?
I grew up in Arlington. I was born in GW Hospital.
Okay.
And I lived in Arlington for most of my life and moved to Gaithersburg, Germantown area, kind of towards the, mid 80s. Lived there until I moved to Tulsa, and just moving to Tulsa was a big deal for me because I'd never lived out the area. And we made a decision to move, and I had to go to a map and say, now Oklahoma, that's somewhere west, right? And,
Right.
I really thought that I was going to have to sell my car and buy a horse and buggy or just a horse to ride on, but no, they got streets and everything. So
streets and cars too, right?
I was pretty impressed. What really sold me on this area is that the first traffic report I heard was that it was a little sluggish on the freeway. And I went, sluggish. I've never heard that term used in Metro DC anywhere. So, usually where I lived in Germantown, there was, an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to pretty much anywhere. And, it took a little getting used to, but I really liked the lifestyle out here. It's very, it's gentle. And you walk into a gas station to get a pop and they say, oh, hey, how you doing? And they talk to you. And I walked in and went, you talking to me? And they went, yeah, hi.
Right.
Not used to that.
Yeah. It's always interesting coming from this area and getting introduced to Southern hospitality, and people actually genuinely asking you, hey, how you doing? And it's cool, but it's new if you're not used to it. Out
here, they mean it, and it's like, oh, well, you're doing great, super. And you get your pop and they wish you a good day, and it's just a very different mindset. So it's a great place to live.
Absolutely. We've actually got more in common than I realized. My mother, for about 17 or 18 years, actually worked at GW Hospital. I was born in the hospital for women. But yeah, my mom actually worked at GW Hospital. So yeah, we've got a lot more synergy than I even realized.
Good hospital, I hear. I don't remember much, but...
Right. Well, I don't remember much about the hospital for women either, but... But here's my question to you. Now, I know what it was like for me growing up here in the area, but what was it like for you growing up, in the DC area?
Well, it was, besides the traffic, I worked predominantly in DC. I worked in the restaurant industry. I was management for several restaurants around the town, and driving back and forth to downtown DC. I worked at the Commerce Department. I worked at the Smithsonian, and I just ran a bunch of restaurants around. I won't go to the whole biography of it because that was then, and I'm really grateful not to be in restaurants anymore because I'm grateful not to be in restaurants anymore.
Right.
It's a different, and then I became a real estate agent, and I had a blooming career, for 11, 12 years in DC, and then came out here and worked up until 2009 is when I actually gave up real estate. Actually, it was a little bit longer, but in career anyway, about 25 years in real estate. And then when I got to start Gold Star clubs, it was very important to me not to be doing something else where I could can't divide my time. You can't be a master of two things. And so I said, well, okay, let's just do one. And so I retired. I found, retired is a loose word. I stopped doing real estate. I found homes for my agents. I had my own company. And it was very successful, but Gold Star really, really needed some hands-on help. And that's what I came on board full-time for in 2009. And 2007 is when I got started when Gold Star actually became a company. And been doing it ever since. Love it.
If I can ask, because one thing we like to talk about on this show, I always like to find out what your upbringing was like. What was it like being raised in the area? And because for entrepreneurs, it's always good, I think, for entrepreneurs to hear from other successful entrepreneurs those through lines so that we can understand the connections. Because a lot of times, we'll hear about Elon Musk and we'll hear about the folks that are extremely successful, Bill Gates and so forth. We'll listen to them, we'll listen to their accolades, we'll listen to what Steve Jobs, has done, but sometimes we don't make the connection between how we're so much more similar to them than we think that we are, which is why we like to touch on this a little bit more, because I'm really curious, because I'm looking at you and I'm listening, I'm like, wow, So he's had a hospitality background. Like, it's always good, folks, and this is for my audience here, to really look at what makes a person successful. What's their background? What are the connections and how do they connect? And I see for you, it seems like your upbringing, now that's the part that we need to know, well, I like to know at least, your upbringing. Did you have a lot of like hospitality that you were, in terms of, let me say it like this, when you were growing up, did your parents do a lot of parties or anything like that? Like, where does this come from? You know, in your background is what I'm trying to figure out. The way you've got this nudge towards connecting with people.
Well, I'll tell you, the restaurant industry did it, but my parents, we were kind of lower middle class, maybe. I remember walking to grade school and not having no hesitation whatsoever. Mm-hmm. But my parents were very, they had lots and lots of rules, and I had to obey them. When I started getting to be a teenager, I started not quite obeying them as well as they wanted. Kids go through that.
Right.
I lost my dad pretty early on. I was young 20s, and my dad died, and just health challenges. And, but I was out of the house by that time. And, I spent a lot of time with my mother and, visiting and going over a lot, and just, being with her is what really did. But reaching out and holding her hand really meant a lot to me. I lost mom in 2012, and she happened to be the oldest person and the longest term person in her retirement home, which was in Falls Church. But I got started in the restaurant business kind of by accident, because everybody should be in the restaurants at least once.
Right.
And I got really, really in tune to what they wanted to have happen. So I kind of learned outgoing hospitality to greet customers and feed them right and make sure everything's great. So I kind of got that as my background. My parents did not do a lot of parties. If they did, I was too young to remember. And my dad was a concert pianist as well as a scientist. And I remember many, many nights going to sleep listening to him play the piano, which is what was really neat. But it was all just a matter of putting myself where I wanted to be and being empathetic towards people I was doing business with. So that came about when I went into real estate. It was be empathetic with the people coming in. You're not going to jam something down the throat that people don't want to buy. It doesn't work. You can try, it doesn't work, but people still try. I chose not to, and I was very successful in real estate. Realtors, by the way, they're not made of money. They do make some money, but most of them work for a broker who takes the bulk of the money. Maybe you don't know that, but they do.
Right.
And and I know that because I became my own broker, and I realized that I was paying my people a commission. And the longer they worked for me, the more money I paid them, which was okay for them too. I mean, I was fair. They were happy. The more they produced, the higher their commission rate went. So anyway, worked well. But I realized that empathy, I could realize what the buyer and seller needed, as opposed to me slapping them on the head and going, no, you're going to do it my way. Because I just don't believe there is a my way or highway. Rarely you get somebody that's a real piece of work to deal with. Sometimes you have to let them go and just say, I can deal with 4 other clients rather than just you. And sometimes that just is a strong business decision to say, Mr. Seller, Mr. Client, you're out. I'm afraid I'm going to move on. I'm sure I can give you names of people that want to deal with you. I don't. And you do it nicely, and you put it yourself in their shoes and realize all they wanted to do was sell their house, but they're making it next to impossible for me to do that because of the obstacles they keep putting in my way. So, it's kind of like, well, hot potato. I'm going to drop it like a hot potato, and I'm going to go on to 4 other clients that I can serve that want to sell their house and want to be reasonable. So reaching out to people and getting them to learn about them and listening, really good, great, strong. That is something that you got to do. If you can't listen to somebody, Mayo, you just can't answer the questions that they need to have answered. So I do a lot of listening, and I still do.
That's absolutely true. Actually, I don't have as much experience in the hospitality industry as you do, but I definitely have had several jobs doing retail, and I did actually work as a waiter in the restaurant business before as well. And it's interesting because now it's starting to all connect for me now. I'm seeing the connection between the hospitality industry and what you're doing now. Oh my goodness. Yes. And that actually brings me to another question that I want to get to in a second, because, you know, and I'm seeing also how that definitely has probably helped you in the real estate industry in terms of listening and just your sales skills. You know, this sounds like an excellent background for someone in sales, actually.
Now in doing Gold Star, where we do business networking, and that's the entire focus of my career and life right now. Yes, I run the company, but more importantly, I'm interacting with our people on a daily basis. Most of it face-to-face here locally, but I do we've got clubs across the country. We're not in every state yet, but we are growing, and we are still growing. So I'm just going to say that if I can listen well and I can empathize with the person at the other end of the phone or in person of what they're going through, I'm a better person to be able to react to what they're going through. So really, you know, just like a restaurant, excuse me, your soup is too cold, let me make it right, you know.
Right. And I want to add this too for my audience members. You know, you guys have heard me talk about before, you know, some of the skill sets that are actually going to be extremely important for the fourth industrial revolution in the era that we're in now with all this technology. Everybody thinks that the skills that you really need are like programming and things like that. But again, guys, what we're showing here and what we're seeing is these soft skills, okay? These soft skills of being able to interact and deal with people. They're not going to become less important. They're actually going to become more important. And if you've mastered these type of skills, you marry them to the technology, you marry it. Because see, what you guys have got to remember, at some point, you're going to have to do what Todd is doing, where you have to actually talk to people. Okay, so that's not going away. This is definitely something to master, and I hope you guys are, as I say, catching these gems and writing this down. But with that said, let's move on. So Todd, what I would like to know now is, at what point did you decide that you wanted to turn this into a business?
We had been, my late wife and I had been in another networking group, and they're all over the country. I mean, you can find them if you throw a rock, you'll hit one of them. But what happened was the rules were so strict, the fees were so high that it became oppressive to me to be told every single moment what I had to do and what I couldn't do. And okay, that was me. I just had a little bit of a hesitation with what some of the stuff they were telling me that it didn't resonate. So when we started realizing that was a situation, there was a time that we said, okay, let's back up, face forward. Let's just leave this alone for right now. I just opened my real estate company, and I said, okay, I've got to devote time to that. I can't keep with these rules and all this stuff. But, you know, it's not that I don't follow rules. I do follow rules. I have rules in the company, but they're easy to follow. But this was just not right. And so as we step back, I said, okay, we're done. Let's just focus on the business of the real estate, which we did. And I had a guy come out of the woodwork that said, you guys know about the networking stuff. Why don't you start your own? Which we did. But I will tell you that my wife researched everything. She was a research nut. And we wanted to find something. It was basically, we could open a box and have a club. We couldn't find one that matched our heart, because in Gold Star, we really operate by a little bit more grace. We have rules, but they're significantly less and much more forgiving, if you will, for people that are involved with us, that, you know, you don't have to bring a referral every single week, because I find that if you say you must bring a referral every single week, the thing you're going to do is you're going to start writing down names of people that you might know and a phone number that somebody could call. But it's not a referral, because they're going to make a phone call and they're going to go, who are you and why did Todd tell you to call me? That's what you don't want. That's a lead or a cold call. Trust me, I've done it enough. Nobody likes cold calls.
Right.
Doing them or getting them. But in Gold Star, what we want is for Mayo, if, for example, if I gave you a referral, I want you to be able to pick up that phone. You call Susie Q, and she's going to say, Mayo, I'm so glad you called me. Todd told me all about you. I really need to learn more because I may want to get involved. I may want to help you with a podcast or do something that's going to enhance your life. That's really critical. So it's got to be something that it's a real, honest to goodness, ready to do business referral. That's what we do. And that's what we preach. So there you go.
Awesome. So Todd, what inspires you to do this?
Well, I know that it helps business people get more business, plain and simple. Mm-hmm. And I know from years in church and in the Bible school, and I worked with the Tulsa County Sheriff's Office as a chaplain for several years. That was volunteer, and I loved it. We did. I rode with the police officers as opposed to going jail ministry, which is a phenomenal ministry. But I was dealing with police officers and listening to them, which is what I wanted to do. But, how do I put this? If I could help somebody do better in their life because of something that I created, then I want them to get the benefit of that. Because now that I started one club, then I started two, then I started three, then we realized we had a system we put together. In real estate, I had a system for everything. If I met a buyer or if I met a seller, I had a system. I almost had an ingrained script that would come out of my mouth. And I knew what I was going to say before I had to say it. But in Gold Star, when I realized I could help a business person that may be struggling to get more business, and by introducing them to other business people in a controlled, literally a group setting, face-to-face, where they get to know and like and trust other business people, not only are they able to give their business to them, but they're going to be able to get business back. And I see it happen every single day. And when that happens, that just makes my life happy. My heart sings when I know that people are doing well because of what we do at Gold Star Clubs, because it's such a technique to get those referrals. Walking on the street and just asking for referrals is not going to get you what you want. You may get some cold leads, but you're not going to be getting business. And that's what we provide to our people that are with us in one of our groups.
So let me ask you this, Todd. What would you say is required to be an exceptional networker?
Well, it's going to boil down to, do you know people that you want to do more business with and seek them out? Now, I'm not saying blast a bulk mail. I'm not, or mail or email or whatever social media is, yes, that always has its place. But to get to know, if you have a person that you would like to do more business with, you can't, again, Todd's opinion, you can't go at them full force and say, you got to do business with me, because you'll get shut down very, very quickly. However, if you do a little bit more gentle approach to maybe send an invitation to do a coffee, to do a lunch, you pay, by the way. But if you invite somebody to come visit with you, or if you could stop by their office for a few minutes, my late wife, for example, she had a thing when she was also a real estate agent. She would be in the neighborhood of a new home community. And when she knew the salesperson because she had been there at least once, would suggest, hey, I'm in the neighborhood. I'm going to stop by McDonald's. Would you want some fries? And you'll be surprised at how many people just took that warm visit.
Wow.
Not a sales pitch, not a sales anything. It was just a visit. And they would eat the fries. They would share fries and maybe a Coke. I don't know. And she developed tremendous relationships with those people. So when someone walked in and said, I got to sell my house before I buy your house, she would be the one that they referred to because she had already taken care of them.
That's genius. Wait a minute. Oh man, I'm almost like kicking myself right now. That's the most genius idea. Having a pretty extensive sales background myself, I've never thought like that's, and it's so simple. That is so simple. And I'm literally, honestly blown away by the simplicity of that, yet the power and efficacy on so many different levels of how many deals you can probably get closed just by doing. I don't know if you guys are taking notes on that one, but I am stealing that. I just need to let you know right now.
I will tell you that it is for you to steal. Man.
Thank you.
You have my permission. Now, I will tell you that now my wife and I, we met when I was selling new homes. And she was a real estate agent, and I needed a good real estate agent to help me move some of the houses I had. It was upscale townhouses up in Germantown. And I was doing okay, but I said, I need somebody that's going to help me market them. And I met this lady. Not only was she a good real estate agent, turned out to be a real nice lady too. And we were married. We were together for about 26 years. And I lost her in 19 to cancer, which was too bad.
Yes, I hear that.
But, we worked together from pretty much day one because I hired her to be my agent from my new homes. I introduced her to every person I had in my company that she was the person that could help them move their product. Now, here's the deal. When I left the townhouse community I was in, there was another lady that took it over and was there for a year. When I left, I had 13 houses left. When she left, she had 13 houses left. My wife was asked to list them all, and she sold them all and got paid on them all. So it was the connection that I made for her to my former boss. And so she just walked right in. And logical. And the other thing is, because of that little French fry trick, or even picking up a burger or something.
Right.
The idea. But she would go and do that for the other sales managers for the same company to get to know them. And they started sending her all of their referral business to the houses. So, it took a little driving on her part, but
that's so genius. That is so genius. I'm going to actually have to share this with some of my students, because that right there, I love the simplicity of it. And that's what makes it so elegant, yet so simple. And guys, and my whole thing about these types of things in an era where we're inundated with so much technology, we sometimes forget it's the little things. It's these little unique little things that you can do that's sometimes extremely small and simple, that I am telling you right now, I'm putting my stamp of approval on everything he just said. God bless your wife for that. Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah,
okay.
It was really good, because she'd go, well, who's the sales manager over there? And I'd tell her, and I'd give him the phone number. She'd be in her car driving out to him as we're on the phone, and said, well, I'm going to call him right now. I said, okay. And she'd go and visit with fries and a burger or what have you. And it sounds easy. But that's the type of stuff, even if they work in an office and you want to get to meet them, send them something in the mail. Hey, I'd love, 10 minutes of your time for a cup of coffee, and go to their office, shake their hands.
Right.
Mayo, I got to give you a story, because some people say, well, they already have a relationship with somebody else. The power of being number two is always well.
Right.
When we worked in Remax in Maryland, before we moved out here, we both were together. I could make more money actually at Remax, so I moved over, but neither here nor there. But what we did was, benefits of being the number two guy. We had a lender that was number one in our office. We used him all the time. That's the guy that puts the mortgages into the buyer's hands. That's fine. But number one was our go-to guy. Well, Joe happened to be number two. And every Friday, he showed up at the office with donuts, which of course realtors eat. So there you go. But no, the important part is he would actually search to find out where we were to say hi, personally say hi. Anything I can do to help you? Nah, we're good. We got Doc. He goes, I know. But if you ever bump into something that you can't either do, or you need something real quick, you let me know. I'll be taking care of you. Well, now let's fast forward a few months. Now he was number two. We did not use him at all until Doc decided that moving to Florida was a really good idea, and number two became number one right away. And so being there matters, whether they're giving you sales or not, but making it that connection with them up front. It's all, build that personal time with them. It will pay back many, many times over.
You know, before we move on here, I've just got to second this, because this is something that I actually teach a lot with my clients, and that is this whole idea, guys. I cannot stress this enough. And everything you just said, down to what your wife was actually practicing and what you've been pushing, which is totally in alignment with my core values and what I teach as well, which is this is this whole thing about being relational as opposed to being transactional in doing business. And that little bit of personal touch and, you know, high touch approach, and just those French fries and or coffee, whatever it is that you're using to actually get that one-on-one time, can be critical for you, especially if you're a small business. But honestly, this would apply on any level of business, because you're dealing with people, and that doesn't have anything to do with status. It's just about understanding psychology and really tapping into being human. And I personally have benefited from doing things with this, you know, relational approach. The reality about this is this, folks, and I'll move on after this. When you take this approach, now, you know, yeah, I'm into advertising, I'm into marketing and so forth, and there's a place for that. I believe in any business within their growth cycle. However, before sometimes you might be ready to get to the point, and you need to grow to the point to where you actually may need advertising for scaling and so forth, what we're talking about right now is where you get your value. This is how you build your brand. This is how you put your DNA in your brand, by using these relational approaches as opposed to being transactional and just trying to make money. The money will come, but these relationships, it'll increase your LTV, because I'm pretty certain that 9 times out of 10, let me ask you this before we move on, Todd. How much repeat business did you get with this approach?
Oh, repeat business?
Yeah.
It was ongoing. It was ongoing. And you know, once you create that relationship,
right?
Who else do they want to do business with? They want to do business with you,
right?
Their friend, because you're no longer the business guy.
That's right.
You're a friend to them, and they know that you're always there. They know that you're always bringing them. You don't always have to take them donuts or French fries,
right?
But you're there for them. You swing by, you know, and it's just making sure they know that you care about them. And if they know you care, they will care back. And it's kind of a biblical principle where if you give, then you're going to receive.
It's a law of reciprocity.
Yep. It's been built on.
Absolutely. Okay, yeah, we could talk all day on that stuff easily, but I got a show to do here, so let me try to move on, because that's actually, you're talking my language, sir. But anyway, so let's move on, guys. So let's get back to our Gold Star. Now, what is so different and unique about Gold Star versus, like, say, BNI? I mean, growing up and even as a younger entrepreneur, you know, I played around with checking out places like BNI, that's, I think, similar to some degree. But what I'm curious of is, what's so unique about what you guys are doing, what Gold Star does versus with, like, say, a BNI, for lack of me not knowing other networking groups to compare you to?
Trust me, there's hundreds of them, and some are really, really good, and others are not. I'll just leave it at that. One of the things about Gold Star, we operate out of a little bit more grace. I mentioned we do less rules, more referrals. It's kind of that's what we want to have happen. We do have rules, of course. Any company has to have rules, but we have typically shorter meetings. We typically cost less to get involved than other groups, like you mentioned, BNI. We typically are less than those. We have much more fun at meetings. It's high energy. At least that's the goal, is to have high energy, lots and lots of fun. And we have a true monthly option where there is no contract. And what I mean by that is, I've heard that some other networking groups that you may have mentioned, they say, okay, look, we'll break your annual huge money down into 6 easy payments, but it's a contract you sign. If you decide you're going to quit, they still have that contract and they will still get your money. We don't. Now, I will just tell you, at goldstarclubs.com, you can read all about us and you can look at the application. We do charge a couple of bucks to become involved with us, which is true. Payback is almost, I won't say immediate, but it takes a little time because the relationships have to be built, right? You have to get the French fries out of a restaurant and bring it to some, no. But it's all about getting to know the people on their level. You want to go and visit their office. If you don't have an office, you want to meet them for coffee on you and be able to have a time when you really get to know them. We call it a one-to-one. That's what we call it. But when somebody says to me, Todd, I'll try it for a month or two, I actually tell them that's probably not the best thing, because if you join with the idea that you're going to be there for a couple of months, you're not going to do what we teach you to do in Gold Star. You're going to want to try it for a couple of months to see if the money comes pouring into your lap, and that's not how it works. You know, you give it 6 months, you do what we do, you try to do everything we tell you to do, you're going to be making money. People are going to be giving you referrals because you have built a name for yourself. You have built credibility within the group. When all of a sudden, let me take it to a different level. Today, when I need a product or a service, I go to Gold Star people first. They are my clients. All the members I have in Metro Tulsa and across the country are my clients. If I have something I need and I don't have it at one club, I may have it in another club. I am going to give back to them my business. I'm selling my office building, which is a side note. I have a Gold Star member, really great lady, who has listed the property. I know a ton of real estate agents and I picked her. She's been with us for a long time. I have a relationship built up with her. I've got other ones at other clubs, and I said to one who was very important to me, I said, I'm sorry, but I got a longer term relationship. He said, not a problem, Todd, not a problem. So he understands it's just business, but it wasn't a step on your foot or in your face. I was very gentle about it. So I do Gold Star where I can. And if I don't have them in Gold Star, I look for them to get involved with Gold Star because I like doing business with people that are doing business with me. So it's kind of like a trust deal back and forth. But so we have less expensive. We are shorter meetings. We have a true monthly option where if you quit after 2 months, that's on you, not us, but you could. We don't recommend it. I would talk somebody out and say, listen, put down 6 months. If you aren't making all of your money back that you've invested with your time at Gold Star, you have my permission just to walk away. You don't need my permission, but you can walk away. We can be friends and we'll see you. But most of the time they come on board. They might come on as a monthly member and they'll say, I'll do it for 6 months. You've got my commitment. And then I'll see how it goes, that's valid. But then as soon as it turns into the 7th month, they go, listen, I want to upgrade to the annual because I know how much this is giving to me. I don't want to be hassled with that monthly ding on my credit card every single month. But it's not a ding anymore. Now it's, geez, I got the money. Why don't I just put it down so I get a whole year worth and I don't have to pay monthly? So, we do things a little different, but the really bottom line is we try in every single club to deal in nothing but real, honest to goodness, ready to do business referrals. We don't tell you to bring 10 referrals a week or 2 because those are sometimes made up. And I'm not sure anybody else realizes that, but a made up referral is worth nothing. The paper it's written on, it's worth. That's it. So,
So does your company, does Gold Star actually offer any additional services to its networking members?
Well, for example, we have a free training. We send out videos to our members free. They get a series of videos to help them get through some of the hurdles. Within the club, we also have a business coach that can help guide them a little bit further to say, by the way, we get together at this time and, you're expected to be here at that time and you're expected to be here through the meeting and not get up in the middle of it and say, I got to go. Because now emergencies happen and I understand it. Or a client says, I have to see you at X time. Well, occasionally that's going to happen. But for the most part, people come to our groups and they stay for the group because they know that makes everybody in the group realize they're giving me their time, I'm going to give them my time. And it tends to be a little bit more of the relationship and the relational value that they set for each other. If you show up at a meeting 45 minutes late, people are not going to think the same of you as if you show up 10 minutes early. My head says if I'm on time, I'm late. I want to be early. So 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I showed up, I took my grandson to the doctor. I showed up a half an hour early and they said, well, you're half an hour early. I said, okay, we'll wait. And we did, no problem. So there you go. Well, we make it fun for everybody. And, we make it, I don't want to say an open door because not everybody lives in Tulsa, Oklahoma to come to the office and walk in. We're moving across the street, literally across the street into an office park, which is going to be sooner, needs a whole lot better. We used to do really large conferences. I'm digressing a minute, but we don't need that space, especially with COVID. Everybody got used to doing Zoom, which we're on.
Right.
Everybody's used to it. And it's like, oh, well, let's do a Zoom meeting. Easy. I don't have to come to you. You don't have to come to me, but come to grow that relationship. I encourage a handshake at their office to get to really know them.
Right.
It's hard for people to refer to you if they don't know where you work. But they know what you do. They might know your company name. But if they can drive to my insurance man, if I didn't know where his office was, how do I tell a client that I want to refer to them to say, hey, he's over here on Main Street in Jinx. He's right over there off the freeway. Boom. They'll say, I know right where that is, next to the Coney Island hot dog stand. Well, it's a hot dog place. Anyway, but I know where they work. And I can direct somebody to go and see them. I'll make the appointment, of course, or I'll have them, my insurance agent, call them to make the appointment. But they'll know where he is. They'll know kind of right there. Anyway,
right. Okay. So my next question for you is this. So how do you guys deal with, like, say, exclusivity? It is, and this is something I've always wanted to know myself, which is, are there options within these types of groups to be exclusive, or how does that work?
Great question, Mayo. There are industry exclusive groups and they're open groups. Now, I'll give you the example. As a real estate broker, I went to an open group and it was about 12 people. They had no format to follow, but there were 11 real estate agents and one lender. That was it. And me as a real estate agent going, well, okay, I'm having lunch with these people and nobody's going to be doing business with anybody. I got to know the lender a little bit, brand new off the street. And, in my business, I had to see a little bit more than a brand new licensed lender. But anyway, I digress.
Right.
That's an open. Anybody can go as often as you want to. Usually doesn't cost you very much, if anything. And I look at free groups to say, well, you're going to get what you pay for sometimes. But if it's working, then great. Keep doing it. But if it's not working, you want something a little bit more organized, for example, backed by a company that cares about the members. Because if a member says, hey, I got a problem, they have our phone number. They can reach out to me and say, Todd, I got a question, or I've got a situation. Can you help me walk through it? The answer is absolutely. Or they come to me and they say, I'm not getting referrals. I ask two questions. How many of those one-to-one meetings have you done? And what have you done for somebody recently? And they're going to say, well, I haven't done any one-to-ones. And what do you mean do something for somebody? Because, Bob Berg, who's the author of The Go-Giver, which we kind of have in our heart, when you give, you're going to get. Biblical principle, it's a principle in life, but that's not what I base it on. I base it on Mr. Berg, who wrote this with John David Mann. If you give, you receive. And I encourage your audience, if anybody hasn't read The Go-Giver, it's an easy read. They ought to give it a shot. I mean, I think Amazon has for about $20. I don't know. It's a great book, and he has a series of them. I love them all. I went to Florida and met Bob Berg and did his training class. And I got to tell you, he's an awesome guy, but he's an awesome author. And that Go-Giver book, literally, I read it from Dallas to Florida, going to see him again. I read it again. And I can tell you at the end of the flight, I tell you what, I was tearing up. I was so happy to have read this book again because to be reminded of what I've read years before. So sorry, that was a little bit of a wild trail. I apologize.
No. I'm glad you shared that. What we'll try to do actually is add that book title into the show notes, guys. So we'll take a look for that there. And that's The Go-Giver, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So this is great. I mean, this is actually awesome. And, one of the questions I definitely want to ask you before I forget, which is about your opportunities for folks to start their own chapters, which is a huge opportunity, you guys. So if you could talk a little bit about that, that'd be great.
Mayo, thanks. And I appreciate you bringing that up because Gold Star Clubs, we are not in every state, as I mentioned. In fact, Maryland, Mayo. We have no clubs in Maryland. Now we don't have chapters. We do have clubs. Those other guys have.
Okay, clubs. Okay, got you. Thank you.
Well, let me give you a quick rundown. For somebody who has the desire to get more business by referral, and they say, either I'm locked out of an industry exclusive group. We are industry exclusive at Gold Star, which means I only have one person per industry. I'm only going to have one real estate agent, one lender, one insurance dude, one painter, pick a category. There's hundreds of them. I'm only going to have one that is represented. And we were really protective of that category for that person.
Right.
So having said that, when a person says, I want to start a group because my, BNI, Am Spirit, Lead Tip, any of those, I'm closed out. They don't have a space for me. Fine. Gold Star Clubs can help you start a group yourself with our system. There's a little bit of investment. It's $397 investment up front, which includes your first month membership. It also includes a box of material where you can open it up and literally have a professional meeting, because we put everything you need in that box. Everything. So from a bell to tell people their time is up, to a referral slips, to everything you need. Now, the other thing is that then it's $397 to get started. We'll get that straight. And maybe you're going to print that out for me when you put this posted up. $397 to get started, and then $69 a month. Now that's for the director, which is a compensated position. They earn commission off of the members that they have in their group. Okay, so we're going to pay them. We can go into pay scale if you want, but that's beside the point. For a member, they have an opportunity to get involved for as little as $50 a month, or they can join for an annual membership is $469. Now, there is a one-time registration fee, and I do know that everybody has those registration fees. That's the setup. That's your name tag. That's your card book. That's the stuff that you get, the little items that you get from Gold Star. It gets the member started. Then we have, you mentioned training. We do a series of videos, but more importantly than that, every single week in the club, we have a national business tip that goes out. Sometimes my experience with BNI years ago, they said to I think they called it the vice president, had to come up with some kind of a enlightening tip. And they always handed me the book and said, well, pick something you want to talk about for 2 minutes or 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever. And I would. And I got to realize that this is kind of me on a fly picking something to talk about. Well, we have a national business networking success tip, and that goes out weekly to every club. And you have a person in the club, a business coach, that can deliver that deliver that tip to the club, make copies of what we like to have happen. But it's an interesting way for visitors and for the members to take something home with them, because they go, that tip was really good, and I'm going to apply that. It's like the question of how are you doing? And they go into a long tirade of, I'm really, really busy. And then they find out that somebody else did business with them because they thought you were too busy. That's not what you want to have happen. You want them to, because you can always say something to the effect of, everything is great. Business is blooming and booming. But I always have time for you, your family, your friends, anybody that needs my help. I have time for them. And that makes a big difference when you tell your acquaintances that you have time to listen to them and help them with whatever product or service they're looking for. It makes a big difference.
Right. Wow. Okay. That's really cool. So yeah, we're going to definitely have to put this in the show notes, because you've touched on some very, very, I think, interesting opportunities. And as we come in for a landing very soon here, I just want to ask you a couple of more questions. And one of them is, do you have any of the testimonials that you can possibly share? Any use case studies where you've had someone join, and what were the results? What were some of the benefits of them joining?
All right, Mayo, I got a bunch of them, but I'll give you 2 that really stand out.
Okay, great.
A college kid, literally just graduated college, and he dabbled at computer repair. And he came to a group, and now this is years ago. He joined us in 2007. He came to a group, first time he'd ever done anything like this. He had 8 referrals handed to him. People that were in the group. It wasn't a club yet. It was just getting together to learn more about Gold Star. Got 8 people that said, I need you. The next week he came back again. He was interested to learn a little bit more about Gold Star. I asked him, I said, of the 8 referrals that you had last week, because I counted them, I knew what he got. And he said, I said, how many of those did you close? And he said, 50%, 4 of them I closed. And I said, okay, that's cool. I said, but how many of the other 4 do you think are going to be needing your services? And he said, at least 2, but probably 3 of those 4. His name is Brandon. He's a great guy. He's still with us today. And he's been with us, and he is my computer guy. He has built every box of computer we have in the office. He built, because that's what he does. He builds them. They cost about the same as what you buy in the big box store, but he does higher grade of stuff. Anyway, he's just a great guy. And now he is doing so much generational referrals. He is turning handfuls of money every single week that he's closed business on.
Wow.
One of the guys that was a computer tech, he got out of the business. He said, look, why don't you take over my book of business, if you will? They had a book, apparently. And he said, you take it over and you pay me a little bit off the top when you go do servicing. He is making money hand over fist, and he's a young kid still. I went to his wedding. He's a nice guy. I mean, he's not a kid anymore. I'm an old guy, so I can say that. But here's the thing. I had an HVAC man, a heat and air man, had his independent own company. It was his second career. And he came to us. He was invited by a plumber. Ivan was the plumber, and he was really a gruff guy. And he left Gold Star, and I'll tell you why. Ivan left because he said, I'm getting too much business, and I want to spend more time hunting and fishing. Now, we're in Oklahoma. Understand, we do that here. All right. So Ivan checked out, but he invited a guy named Jerry, who had this independent company. And Jerry said, these things never work. No way, no how. It's a waste of time. And Ivan literally said to him, Jerry, shut up and write your check. And Jerry closed his mouth. He wrote the check. He joined us. Great. His first quarter, it was the end of the year, his first 3 months in the business, he made $800. That was enough to cover his fees and his meals. And so he was a little bit in the profit margin for us. The next year, he hit $60,000 from referrals only.
Wow.
And he does no advertising. His second year, he broke $100,000. His third year, full year, he hired a sales rep who is also a technician to represent him in a different group. And this fourth year, he hired another person to be in another group.
Wow.
The man is doing very well right now, and very, very pleased with Gold Star. From something he felt didn't work to something he's sitting back with his feet up. No, he still works. He does my air conditioning units.
Right.
He sits back, and can kind of help. The guys can go and work in the hot attic. He can sit down below and drink something cool. I don't know. But he's a great guy. People love him, and they loved what he did. He loved the price that he charged, and he is a believer. But those are just 2. And I will tell you that people who join Gold Star, they think, well, I want to get some extra business. That's what we want. And people have increased their business 10, 20, 30%. I had one guy, trying to remember his name, Herman, increased his sales 1 month, 87% of what he was the prior month, just because he got business from Gold Star.
Wow.
Does that happen every day? It happens frequently, but I can't guarantee to anybody that that's what's going to happen.
Right.
When you get involved, do the relationship deal. You have that shot at getting it.
This whole interview today has literally pretty much been, I think, almost like this. It's the quintessential, almost like, I want to say, calling card for doing relational business, relationship driven business. And honestly, it doesn't matter whether or not you're advertising or not. I strongly encourage this, even beyond, regardless of how you've acquired your customer. Everything that Todd has shared with you guys today, you can use, whether or not you're doing referral marketing or not. And I definitely think you should, for sure, because it just makes sense. But once you get those folks in, using these types of techniques, I like to call them, is going to actually make you guys so much more money. And for folks that don't really know this, because not everybody actually starts their business off this way. Some folks start with a lot of money and so they can go straight into marketing and advertising, and they skipped this. And I can tell you right now, even if you're already basically, and listen, guys, I got an advertising agency. This is what I do. I am still telling you, you want to, if you're not already doing this, you want to add this to your business. Okay? It's coming from my mouth. All right. So with that said, I'm putting my true stamp of approval on everything that Todd is telling you. And I definitely second what he's telling you. Okay. With that said, Todd, we're coming to the end here. But before you go, I cannot let you leave without giving my listeners your top 3, and this is what they came here for. Your top 3, and Todd, I want you to dig deep, sir, and give them some of that gold, Todd. Don't hold back. Give them your top 3 things that they can apply to their business to get them closer to becoming a master networker like yourself.
Well, thanks, Mayo. The thing that I would leave them with is we've talked about a lot. It's the relationships. Build your relationships like no tomorrow. It doesn't have to be pressed. It doesn't have to be gimme. Please don't do that. As I mentioned, I mean, the question I would ask your listeners is, how many people like being pitched to?
Right.
Nobody likes being pitched to. Don't pitch. Go in, get to know the person first. Get to have that relationship so they know and like and trust you a little bit, just a little bit, because that's going to crack the door just a little bit. And the more you do that, it's going to crack just a little bit more. And all of a sudden, that door is going to swing wide open and you're going to be able to come in and do what you do. And they're going to be really happy dealing with, now they've developed a friendship with you, or at least a friendly business relationship with. They may not, you may not have coffee with them every morning, but you could get that relationship going. So when the door swings open, you're right there to take over, even if you're number 2. So that would be number 1. Mm-hmm. The second one would be give more in value than you take in trade. Now, I'll tell you what this means. That's a Bob Berg. That's a Bob Berg right out of his book. He has the 5 stratospheric laws of success. That one is absolutely critical. Give more than, you're going to say, well, what do you mean? You want me to discount? You want me to do all this stuff? No. You want the value that they perceive they're getting. Now, think about it. One of the biggest values that you can give any prospective client is you. It's not your product or service. It's you. People, there are people all over the place that sell cars, but you got a relationship with a car guy, you're going to go see him first before anything. And when you do, you're going to be really happy because they don't have a heavy sales pitch or whatever makes you happy. You're going to know that they're going to treat you right. And if you send somebody over to them, they're going to treat your friends, your family right. I'm just saying. I just got a new to me vehicle from a guy. I set up my attorney friend. One of my Gold Star members, great attorney. He said to me, I said, you get all these really nice cars. You go through them a lot, but where are you getting them and who are you talking to? And he said, go see my friend John. And I did. And I left with a car. I was kicking tires. I left with a vehicle. All right. So that's that side. He didn't tell me anything. I just took the car that he let me drive and I said, this is what I want. So that's number 2. Number 3, don't forget your follow-up. If you've had a nice meeting or a cup of coffee, I don't care what you've done, beating somebody else, even if you're at a networking event. Now, I will tell you the follow-up is critical. That's a given. People don't do it. And I'm going to emphasize that. They don't do it. If you do it, you'll be one of the very few, probably top 10% of the follow-up people, because they're going to remember you. Now, what do you do for follow-up? Does it mean you have to go and buy them dinner? No, it means you might send them a thank you note. It may mean that you introduce them to somebody they might be interested in meeting. Well, they'll love you for that. And just, you in casual conversation, you can find out what some of the services they might be interested in, but do the follow-up. If you say you're going to buy them a cup of coffee, or gosh, we should meet for lunch, or meet up for coffee. Do what you say you're going to do. Yeah. I will also give you a side note for 3A. If you go to events, I used to go to events all the time and drop my cards. This is way back in my career. I used to drop my business card in every single fishbowl that was on a table. Why? Because I thought I might win something stupid or good. Doesn't matter. I realized that was not only a waste of my time, it's like teaching a pig to sing. It's a waste of your time and it'll annoy the pig. But the bottom line to you is get to know some of the people that are on the other side of those booths that are trying to help you buy their stuff. Get to know them. Nobody wants to talk to them except, how much is your floral arrangement or what have you.
Right.
Get to know the person behind the table. That's where your business is going to come from. And it could be that you can develop a relationship from that meeting. But if you promise to get back to somebody, you better do it, because if you don't, your know, like, and trust is broken, and they're a whole lot harder to rebuild than to start off on the right foot. Okay, so that's 4 basically, but Mayo, thank you for that.
Hey, no, thank you. Like, Todd, this is phenomenal. Listen, guys, for folks that are not familiar with a lot of things that Todd is talking about, if you aren't using these techniques, now I'm going to give you a little bit of go myself. I didn't plan on doing this, but I'm going to do it because the energy is here and I want you guys to get it. Listen, I teach the exact same stuff that he's actually talking about right now in my sales classes. And again, just to second what he's telling you, I have clients right now, okay? And see, this doesn't matter what type of business you're in. I don't want you to think that you have to be in a service-based or product-based business for this. This works regardless of the business. And I'm telling you right now that everything he said, from following up to being high touch, taking that relational approach, getting to know the person behind the booth. I have a client that actually I was just talking to the other day, similar situation, where in the sales training that I did with her, we talked about rapport building. Listen, that one little skill and having that relational approach of building that rapport and getting to know that person was literally worth thousands of dollars to this person, because they were in real estate. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether that you're in real estate or not, but the technique is worth its weight in gold. With that said, I'm going to wrap up the show today. I have to absolutely thank Todd. Todd, before we go, how can they get in contact with you, sir?
It's easy. You can visit the website, goldstarclubs.com. That's a Gold Star Clubs with an S at the end.com. And you can call the office. We're at area 918-933-4864. My administrator, Teresa, will probably answer the phone. If you go to voicemail, please speak clearly and leave me your phone number, and I'll reach back out to you. So it's pretty easy. If you need some information, go visit the website. You can kind of look around, investigate, check it out. I mean, you're going to do your own due diligence, but you can also reach us at the office, 918-933-4864. So there you go.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. As always, guys, a lot of this information that he just mentioned and other stuff we'll have in there too will be in the show notes. If you listen to the podcast, you know what to do. You definitely want to download those show notes to get access to everything he just said, as well as to get in contact with him. There's going to be a link. It'll be there. If you're watching the show on YouTube, it's going to be in those show notes as well. So wherever you go, you're going to get access to Todd and a couple of other things that we'll throw in there. So guys, that's it for today. Todd, you were phenom. You lived up to the title of being a master networker. And guys, use it what he's just basically taught us today. And I will see you guys next time on the other side. Take care. God bless.
Thanks, man.
Bye. Thank you, Todd. Bye-bye.